This month we are raising awareness and funds for the good folks over at the Niagara Children's Center and the Help Kids Shine campaign, which raises money for children in Niagara who require therapy and support services and youth with physical, developmental, communicative delays and disabilities. All the information, go over to the website 610cktv.com. You'll find the donate button and all the links to all the information, and we are sharing the stories of those who are working, who are there, who are utilizing the services of the Children's Center. And this morning, pleased to have Ambassador Jonathan Hardy on the program. John, how you doing this morning?
Good morning. How are you?
Morning. It's a beautiful morning. Like, we got sunshine. I don't think anybody's complaining about it at this point. Hey, your son Jack, right, has been using the Children's Center for some time, right?
That's correct. Jack, he was born approximately 12 weeks early at McMaster Children's Hospital, just about 10 years ago. And after Jack's stay at McMaster for several months, he was downgraded, I guess, to St. Catharines General Hospital Special Care Nursery. And in that sort of time frame, in that process, he was referred to the Niagara Children's Center. So he and we, I guess, have been working with the Niagara Children's Center since Jack came home, and he was first seen by an occupational therapist actually on his due date. So
really?
that was pretty special. So yeah, we've been involved with the center many times throughout the years, and continue to be involved. So we've been pretty lucky in that sense.
Been a long relationship for 10 years. Jack, you said Jack's just about 10?
He just turned 10 in April,
okay.
So it's a big deal, right, for any parent. A little spooky, 10,
yep.
Because we know that 10 turns into 20 and 30 and the rest of it. So
stop it, mine's almost 10.
Yeah. So, but yes, certainly we've been involved with the center for that amount of time, and I mean, countless number of therapists and even support staff. Anyone we've sort of been involved with or touched or spoken with at the center has been tremendous. Even the extended families and the parents of other children that we've met over the years. It's just been an unbelievable experience. And again, I think we mentioned in our testimonial that we really didn't know how much support we would be getting, if any, pre the referral process to the center. So it has been a blessing, to say the least.
Did you? I'm curious. Like, did you know how much help you were going to need at that point? Like, I know you mentioned he came. I think you said 11 weeks prematurely. Yeah. But did you know, like, that's what kind of help you were going to need, or like, how was that process in those first couple of years?
Yeah, so the really challenging part, when having a child like Jack or any sort of severe disability or health issue, the problem, at least that we experienced and went through. I mean, you've got a newborn baby, so you can't, obviously they're not communicating a lot to you verbally and telling you what the future holds. So you sort of have to go along and go at their speed, if you will. So these poor therapists. I mean, parents like us, and I'm sure many other parents. I mean, we pepper them. We pepper the doctors and the therapists with questions of, is he going to walk? Is he going to talk? Is he going to roll? Is he going to go to school? Is he going to, all these things. And they were quite. They were very, very professional, but very realistic in the messaging, in the sense that we don't know. Jack will tell us. He'll tell us if he can roll and when he can roll. Can he eat? Well, he'll tell us. So it's a sort of a heart-wrenching experience as a parent. But when you're harnessed with that sort of support at the center, which we were throughout, it just makes it easier is not the best description, but it makes it less confusing and heart-wrenching. It just, that there's a full team behind you. Because we found over the years that although family and friends will always be there in your network and in your group, they don't always know how to help, and that's no fault of their own. But the therapists, I mean, this is what they do. This is their bread and butter. They're highly trained, highly skilled, and just in our experience, and I know the experience of many other parents that were involved with, they do it with a very gentle touch, and a lot of listening. And I think that gets overshadowed a lot, right? A lot of times people think they're helping and they're giving you this overwhelming information, and that's sometimes not the case. Sometimes there's a lot of listening on their end, which is key for families like us, right?
Yeah, well, I imagine you mentioned some of the questions you might have, but I imagine you might be reading into every little thing too. It's like if Jack did this, what does that mean? If Jack did that, what does that mean? Does this mean something different than we thought them before? I imagine like that having that support for those unknown moments would probably be critical.
Absolutely, you hit it right on the head, and so we can. Again, it's the anxiety and the pressure and the unknown. I mean, those will, I guess, forever exist. Now you get to, again, with the help of the center, you get to a point where you kind of start to accept and you sort of start to move on. So I guess it's parallel to sort of like a grieving process, right? You sort of initially are at shock and bewilderment, and you're not sure how you're going to move on and how you're going to move forward. And slowly but surely, you start building these relationships, whether it's through the occupational therapist, and or the physiotherapist, and or the speech language pathologist, and the therapist, and on and on and on. You start to get more confident. You start to kind of build up, and obviously your child does too. So right from the front door, you're met with open arms, and I must say I assume they're still doing the same process. You're initially assigned or referred to a social worker who really sort of spearheads and sort of manages and helps you manage and navigate the systems throughout the center. So you're not just getting forms and messages and paperwork, because with a child with a disability, you already have that. You have all that stuff. You have all that overwhelming stuff from doctors and hospitals and clinics and all that stuff. They really do a fabulous job in not sort of overwhelming a family or a parent in that sense. So moving forward, they're Jack's 10, as I said, and so now the conversation starts to slowly tread into, well, what's high school going to look like, and what equipment adjustments what are they going to look like? And again, no one can, none of us have this the proverbial crystal ball, nor do the therapists, right? But they're certainly, they've worked with enough kids over the years, and some of them over the decades, that they can say, well, this is what your road might look like, or may not, and that's helpful. That's just helpful to know. Again, very, very, very scary at the beginning, having a newborn with some pretty significant health ailments, but with the center support and ongoing support. I mean, you don't go a day or two without getting a call back if you're in need of some help in whatever facet that may be.
When you look back at it, and we don't have a ton of time left here, but
Sure.
When you look back at it and you think of those first couple of visits and stuff like that, and now, like you said, turning 10, like that's a milestone. Did you think where you are now was going to be attainable when you started?
Not at all, not at all. And I know you've sort of alluded to that point a couple of times. I not at all. It's like you want to reach out and scream out to all of these parents who are either at Sick Kids in Toronto or McMaster or the Children's Hospital in Kingston. You want to say to them, listen, there are people, there are agencies, there's services out there, such as the Niagara Children's Center, that you will be supported. It's just very hard, obviously, at that time to digest that information and that sort of help when you're in the eye of the storm, if you know what I'm trying to say. So looking back, I would never have guessed that we'd be at this sort of confident level, supportive stage that we were at. Not in a million years. My spouse would attest for that as well. So we have been over the moon and back at their help.
Sounds like doing some great stuff over there
Yes.
with Jack at the Children's Center, and hey, it's part of raising funds for the Help Kids Shine campaign, which we are very proud to be a part of every year. John, thanks for sharing the stories.
thank you, and thanks for your support and all the support from family, friends, and the corporate sponsors. Just everyone involved, whether it's a $25 donation or north of, everything we see where their money goes, and it goes directly to the services of the kids. Very, very, very little, very few dollars go elsewhere. I will say that. So thanks for having me.
Get right into these programs. Thanks, John. There's Jonathan Hardy, one of the ambassadors. His son Jack has been involved with the Children's Center for all 10 years, all 10 years of coming on to our wonderful planet, and some great work over there at the Children's Center. This month we